everything everyone does online and even offline creates information. This information can be incredibly specific, and that can include things like demographic data, behavioural information, and other personal details too. Or it can relate to larger groups as an aggregate. Major corporations such as Facebook and Google can gather data from even the most innocuous activities online and use it to better optimize their services. If I click through, war is 90% information. This is Napoleon said this, and obviously we're not quite in the same kind of war that he talks about here. But essentially what I'm trying to communicate here to you is that information is really important and can help you make really good and informed decisions. And analytics, as we're speaking about today, analytics are analytics tools clean data, organize it, and interpret it better. So it makes it easier for us to understand. So what can you discover using analytics? Analytics finds patterns, insights, and useful information. Using this information can help you better serve your community. Data analytics helps businesses all over the world better understand themselves, their audiences, and lets them create better strategies based on their findings by turning data, that core data, that raw data, into insights that they can then base their decisions on and then lead into action. Obviously, there's internal data that lots of companies use to better make themselves faster and better at working. But today we're concentrating on that external data that you can find through your website and social media. So the kind of data that we'll be looking at today that you can find are things like the number of people looking at your website or your Facebook post or your live stream, when people look at your website or posts, the level of engagement you get on your posts, demographic information such as gender and age, where geographically in the world they might be, what device they're viewing your website or post on. That might be on a phone or a tablet or a desktop computer, and where viewers are or were on the internet before they arrived on your website or post. By that I mean perhaps another website where they found a link to something on your website, or perhaps they've been on your Facebook and then that's taken them through via a link to your website. Ultimately, all this data can tell you what is and isn't working and what you might do to connect with and serve your audience or your community well. It can also save you a heck of a lot of work in the long run, and it can give you the confidence to stop doing the stuff that isn't working and to concentrate on the stuff that is working. There are a lot of tools that can potentially make your life easier. Social platforms have their own integrated analytics tools, but the ones that you have that sit outside of them often bring those different data sets from your various social channels together and can give you some shortcuts and some other functionality. Some are very, very clever and often have massive capabilities. So the tools that I've popped down here today are ones that I've used and I think are pretty good. But as I said, there's lots and lots out there, and I would really recommend that you have a look at what you think would be really helpful for you and see if you can find one that would suit you well. So I'll just run through these very quickly. So Buffer is a super simple tool. With Buffer, you can schedule your content across social channels. You can measure and report on the performance of your content as well. You can start a free trial of one of the more advanced pricing options, and at the end of the trial you can then downgrade to the basic free plan. On the free plan you can link to 3 different social accounts. That might be that you have a Facebook, a Twitter, a Instagram. You can schedule 10 different posts and you can have 1 user. Just to note that the free trial, the free plan, you don't have the analytics function on that. On Hootsuite, It's a slightly more advanced social media management system. It brings your management of your different channels into one place, saving you from opening up each platform separately. You can manage your paid social media adverts through it. You can monitor what people are saying about your church, and you can respond to people directly through the platform. With a free plan, you can link up, again, 3 different channels or platforms. You can schedule 30 posts, and again, you have 1 user. Again, paid accounts give you access to a lot more functionality here. And then Orlo is the only one that I've got here that's not got a free plan, but it is billed as the complete online engagement ecosystem and has immense capabilities. On top of what you can get from Hootsuite, they also have media and press monitoring, and you can manage WhatsApp and your SMS through that. As I said, I don't think I did say, Orlo is a little bit secretive in terms of pricing, but from what I've been able to gather, it's between £12 and £35 per month per user, but you would need to contact Orlo for a demo and to ask about pricing. So please have a look at what's out there and what would suit your needs well. And I would recommend you start with a free one first. So web analytics, we're going to jump in and have a look at what's available through Google Analytics, but there are various other tools that are available, and they're websites such as Squarespace, or there are a bunch of other website hosting systems, often will have something that is built in. Today I'm going to talk about Google Analytics, as it's free and it's the most widely used web analytics tool. And if you are serious about getting to grips with Google Analytics, you can use the free online courses from Google, and I have actually linked to them in the how-to guide. And you can even become Google Analytics accredited, which is quite a fun course, although a little bit time consuming. So I'm going to jump across into our live analytics. So this is for our website right now. Once you have it set up, this is the home page that you would land on. Here you can actually see, so this is set up for the last 30 days, we can see the data for, and we can see that 8.4 thousand visitors have come to the site. We can see that that's been 12,000 sessions, so people have come potentially for more than one visit. Bounce rate here is basically when people come and visit your website and then leave, not having gone to another page. So it's worth having in mind what you are trying to achieve on a web page, because it could result in a higher bounce rate, but that's not necessarily bad if they're doing what you want them to do. And then session duration is how long they've spent on your website. This is live right now, so you can see that 9 people are actively on the website right now and what page they're on. Down here, just scroll down, we have where users have come from across the internet. So this is for each day for the last 7 days and in numbers, and it's color coded. It's slightly difficult to see some of it, but if you hover over, you can see more of the numbers. Organic search means that somebody's searched for you on something like Google or Bing, maybe not your name, but a topic or something like that, and they've landed on your website. Direct means that they've put in typed in your URL, or they might have a bookmark that they've clicked on, or sometimes that actually means that Google hasn't been able to tell where they've come from, and so to Google it looks like they've possibly just typed in the URL. So there's a little bit of debate around that. Referral means that they've been somewhere else on the internet and clicked on a link and it sent them to your website, and social is just drilling down further and narrowed that to just social channels. Across the top here, you can jump into looking at source and medium, where you can see that for organic, the most is Google. They've done a search on Google. They've done a search on Bing here. And then Yahoo, they've done there. And then referrals, again, you can see people have done that search via Yahoo. They've landed via MailChimp and Facebook and Twitter there. On each of these, you can click on a button at the bottom here, which takes you to much more detail. So this is your trends over time. And then this is how many people have come back again after visiting your website across the different weeks. This is really, really useful. This is when your visitors come to your website day by day. So we can see here that on a Saturday, people are not really visiting our website as much. And then the very early hours of the morning, people aren't really visiting the website, which is kind of what you'd expect. We also have a cluster during the weekday, in the middle of the day, sort of morning 10 o'clock through to 4 o'clock, again, which is what we'd expect. And then this is an interesting one, 4 o'clock on a Thursday, we have a higher number of visitors, and that is likely due to the briefing that we send out to clergy, and they are probably clicking on links and coming in. But again, all of this, you can drill down further and find out a lot more information. Moving on, we have where people are in the world geographically. It's really interesting to see where people are. And if you have an anomaly, so you might have, I don't know, you could have 50% of people visiting your website from the Philippines, and that would be useful to look into why that might be the case. And then here on the right, we have the top devices, so what people are using, what technology they're using to visit your website. So as we'd expect, about 2/3 of people are visiting our website on a desktop computer, basically because most people are doing it as part of their work. And then we have smaller numbers on mobile and tablet. For a church website, I'd actually expect to see that the opposite way round, because it isn't a work activity to visit your website, but it's worth having a look into that. And that really helps when you're looking at further developing your website. If you want to do that, if you have more people who are visiting on a mobile, then it needs to be mobile responsive and possibly be developed mobile first.
Amy, just before
Yes.
we move on, we did actually have a question on the chat about, obviously, Adrian, their website, they've obviously got some analytics already set up.
Yeah.
And they have found that a lot of people in Russia have read their website. And so the question is, how do you know if they're real, if they're not kind of computer programming that's scanning the contents of the website? How do you know if it's a real person behind what you're seeing?
I'm probably not the right person to ask. I suspect developers can put in things in place to kind of prevent that from being the majority of visitors, but it depends on how many people or how many users or viewers of the website are Russian. If you're getting, it's not just a percentage, but a really high number, then they might actually be real people. It's worth looking at what pages that they're landing on and seeing if that is content that might be of interest to them. Again, it's worth having a look, if you can, at what devices they're coming from, what time they're looking at, and then you can kind of begin to get a feeling for if they are real people or not. If they aren't real people, I would get in contact with a developer. It might be you have some content that for some reason bots are targeting, that kind of type of content. But without more information, I'm kind of struggling to give any more advice there. Okay. So I said there about pages, and this is a quick look at what pages people are looking at. And again, as we'd expect, the majority of people are visiting our homepage, which is just this / here. And then the rest of it changes week on week. I mean, the coronavirus guidance has been top of the list for quite a few months now, really. But we also have the clergy wellbeing virtual day that's going on today, so that we'd expect to be quite high up this week. Calendar prayer was also recently issued, so that's why that's high up. So as you can see, as we're working through, we can kind of see why some of this is going to be most visited all the pages that we have. Where you have anomalies, again, that's something worth digging into. Here, I'm not going to talk about goals. I'm going to come back to that goal completion section in a little bit. On the left here is a lot more information you can drill down into. So you click down them and then we have an audience section. And basically on here, there's lots of information about your users, their demographics, so that's their age, gender, their interests, where they are in the world, what operating system they're using. It's all really useful information to take note of. Further down we have acquisition. And if I go to the overview there, this kind of information is important to know where your users are coming from. Are they coming from the Facebook post that you've been putting up, an article written about you, are they coming from adverts that you've posted, or even emails that you've sent? And you can find all of that kind of information through here. You can set up campaigns and do some of that as well. But again, some of it's a little bit technological and is worth having a look at kind of that further training from Google. Behavior here. This tells you if your website is working well, if users are landing on the right page, if your site is slow, and we've got site speed here, and what people are clicking on as well. So once they've hit your first page, you can have a look at the path that they're then going on. And then finally, this is the conversions section. To use conversions, you need to set up what's called goals and events, and it requires a bit more technical know-how. And I'd recommend you either take the Google course, the advanced course, or find someone who knows how to implement these. They are worth doing if you can, but you can start off with some of the basic analytics as well. For us, we've set up our if I go into it, our goals are course registration, event registration, and trainings being booked. And here you can see we have had 2007 goal completions, and it tells you where they are as well. So we've kind of done a quick overview of web analytics here. There's a lot more that we could talk about, but let's move on to the next.
Amy,
yep.
Sorry, just before we do move on, Pav has asked the question, are the courses affordable?
They are free.
Lovely.
Completely free. Sorry if I forgot to say that. The Google Analytics courses are free. They have a whole academy of various Google related training that are worth having a look into, particularly if you have any capacity at this point. They will really set you up well for the future. I actually couldn't recommend them more highly. So we'll have a quick look at YouTube. Obviously we're not live right now, but when you go into the Google, YouTube, you can have a look at what was there. So I will do that now so you can kind of see what information you can get. So I just clicked on the analytics button there. And here we can see what was at the end of our live stream for our Pentecost prayer service on Sunday. Here you can see, so when it says peak concurrence, I'm not sure why they've used language like that, but that basically means how many people were, or the most people were watching it at once. We can see how many new subscribers, and the average watch time, the full duration of the video, and that's the number of playbacks in total. Once I've dismissed that, I can have a little look here, and it gives you more visual version. Over the time that we were live, when people were watching. So it was about here, I think, that we had the most people watching, which is fascinating. We've saved this and people have been able to watch it later on. And so to be able to see that, there we go, to see the statistics for now, you can go into YouTube Studio. That was just from our channel page. And then video analytics here for the Pentecost prayer service. So we can see post the event, we've had 405 views, the total watch time, the number of extra subscribers that we've had as a result of watching the video. Audience retention is actually how long people have watched for. This is real-time activity, so we can see how many people have watched at various different times throughout the last 48 hours. Again, this is that kind of map that we were seeing before about when people are watching. This is the top traffic sources, so where people have come from. So they've done a YouTube search, or the most common is having a look on our page and then clicking on our channel page on YouTube and clicking on the video to watch it. This is coming from an external source. And again, this is the direct or unknown. That's similar to what we were looking at in the web analytics back there. And then we can see likes and dislikes there. You can actually, across the top, I just scrolled up to the top, we have some more details. So that was the overview. We can have a look at reach, have a look a bit more. There's a little visualization of how many people have seen that the video exists, and the percentage of people have then clicked on the video, and how many views we've had from that, the average duration for those people, and then the number of hours watched in total there. With all of this, I just recommend you have a play and have a look at what's going on. So engagement, again, we're having a look at, likes and dislikes. And then in audience here, we have some information about age and gender, which is quite interesting. Again, nothing that we'd be particularly shocked at from our point of view. What countries they've watched it from. Yes, I think that covers everything in that section. If you have any questions you think of later on, we can chat about those. We actually haven't used the Facebook Live function on our for ourselves, but I can show you what kind of information you're going to get from that. So it's very like YouTube, similar kind of statistics from the live. So number of peak viewers, minutes viewed, how many people have watched past 10 seconds, and the percentage of people who have completed the whole video. What I can show you, if I just hop back to our Facebook page, is the video insights here. So to find your insights, if you've not seen them before, this is our Facebook page. At the top here, we've got these menu, and on Insights is where you'll find all of that lovely information. On the left-hand side is where you'll find videos. And if we scroll past this section here, we can see here the general video insights for the last week. So we've had a peak here. When lots of people started viewing video content. We can see that 130 minutes have been viewed in total, and then 493 views past the 3-second mark. And if you scroll down further, you can see what videos there are. So this was the video that David Welsh filmed of himself talking about Thy Kingdom Come and inviting people to the Pentecost service. And again, you have that those numbers there of how many people watched it. So we can actually have a quick look at general social media stats. Regularly collecting social media data is really important, as it allows you to see trends in how your audience interact with your content. There's lots of information and data available, and so we'll quickly have a flick through and look at what it looks like and where to start. So if we stay on Facebook, if we go back to the overview, there's lots of information that's thrown at you. You can change the date period here to whatever you're looking for. And things on the overview that's really good to take a note of are things like the post reach. So seeing how many people are seeing your posts going out, your post engagement, so how many people are doing something, liking, commenting, sharing what you've posted. Again, the video views is really worth having a look at. You can see that here without flicking through to that videos page. And then new followers is also worth here we go, page followers, is also worth taking note of. With all of this, it's worth looking at different posts that you're making and what's working well, what's not working well. But these are kind of the basic ones to take note of. So this is our Twitter, and to locate your analytics on Twitter, down on the left-hand side, this is just the home screen of Twitter, is the more, and then you click on analytics, and it gives you a 28-day summary here. And across the top again, you have more to look at. I actually generally skip straight across to tweets, and that allows you to see in the last time period, so this is the last 28 days, we've had 16.8 thousand impressions. And then down on the right here, we have engagement rate. Twitter has quite a low engagement rate, so don't be alarmed about that. 2 point something, 3 point something is kind of average, really. When you're getting up to 5, you're doing pretty well. But yeah, don't be alarmed at that. I'm going to hop back across to the presentation, because on Instagram, you need to be on your phone to access the analytics. So I've taken some screenshots here. So this is what you would see on your homepage, and then on here, there's an insights button. You would click on that. This is the first bit that you'd see. So it has things like your posts, your stories are underneath, and you can click directly on that and have a look at that. If you click on activity on that menu, it shows you for the last week what's kind of gone on your feed. So you can see your reach, your impressions, so that's how many people have seen your posts. Here you have your interactions. So we've had 12 interactions in the last week, and what that means is 11 profile visits, somebody's made a call. And then here we have audience. So again, that really interesting information about like who's followed or unfollowed us. And then I would go across one, what location they're in. So highest proportions in London. It does depend on what settings people have on their phones or their desktops, mainly their phones for Instagram. And then age range again is kind of what we'd be expecting here. Gender, 50% women, 50% men, and then the number of, or when followers are most active is down here, which is really helpful to have a look at. And then when I mentioned you can click on your post, when you're actually on that post, you can click View Insights, which is just here. And then this pops up and tells you how many people have liked it, how many people have commented, if they've shared it with someone else, if somebody has saved it, how many people then visited your profile, and then the reach here. This is a little bit low, I'd expect it to be a bit higher, but we'll move on. So before we move on, actually, the other thing to note is email. We have run a MailChimp course, we've got another one coming up, and actually feeding all of your analytics. You can get analytics from things like MailChimp as well. Feeding them all in together gives you a really good picture overall of your community and how you can best serve them. And you might have different people, you are likely to have different people across your different channels, and that would be really interesting to see and confirm that, and who it is where, and then serve content that is most relevant to them. So we have actually pulled together a really basic template for you for reporting purposes, keeping a frequent record of what is working, what is not working, any demographic data, and everything else that is relevant to helping you create content that is really helpful for your community, is useful to keeping. It will also help you see trends. So you would expect to see at Christmas and at Easter a kind of peak in some of your activities online, and it's useful to keep a note of those. So I would recommend furthering that basic template that we've created and developing it in a way that would suit you best. And actually sharing it with us as well would be really helpful, so that we can then amalgamate some of that data together and get a really good snapshot of what's going on across the diocese. At the moment, we're kind of not gathering a lot of statistics nationally about what's going on, and we'd love to be kind of the diocese that steps forward and helps form what that might look like going forward in a digital world, and we'd love to partner with you on that. So taking it further, I'd like to encourage you to test lots of things out. Doing different things on social media and on your website can help you see what's going to work and work well. Again, playing with what's available through the different analytics and seeing what you can find in terms of information. Don't be discouraged if things don't work. It's how things go sometimes, but actually it's always a learning curve. And developing your reporting to give you that information that will be really useful to you. You might not be analytically minded, and that's fine. There may be other people in your community who this really is their thing. It really, gets them going or ticks their box, and is something that they would love to serve in. And perhaps that's something that you would, partner with them in that. And then as we're looking into the future, if you are serious about using your online space to connect and serve your community well, then getting a grip of your analytics will be really important. We've talked about some people connecting better over a digital screen than a coffee, and then there are those who are housebound, those who can't physically get to a service regularly, and those who aren't ready to make a bigger step into a physical church. And the online space will continue to be important to them post-COVID-19. And that analytics can help you get to know these people and create content that speaks directly to them. So I just want to remind you, try it now, give it a go, see what works, and I'd encourage you again to get other people involved. Where we're not so good at something, somebody else will have a passion and be really good at it.